Hey guys, I just wanted to share something that was my thoughts. I really think that the outcome of Dani going to jail alongside with Queen Opp was meant to happen. I think that from what I was viewing as an audience from a distance, I don't think that Queen Opp had control over Dani like she did Shelly. Now, she had control over Dani to a certain extent, as far as her ordering her to do foolish things to Shelly, but Dani was on board with that because I don't think that she wanted Shelly there taking up the space. I think she was jealous of the relationship, even though Dani should have knew if she had any common sense that the relationship that Queen Opp and Shelly has is toxic and has been way before Dani came into the situation. So it was nothing for her to be um, you know, fussing over, or it was nothing for her to be jealous of because the relationship was toxic. I think Dani came into play to take over what Queen Opp was not able to do because of her pregnancy, not to the full capacity of how she was doing Shelly prior to getting pregnant. But then when she found out, through pillow talk that Dani said she was a recovering addict, but she still was drinking. She drank quite a few days out the week, where at times I think Queen couldn't tolerate her at those times. And then when she wasn't drinking, it was like she was drinking because she still was someone that Queen Op couldn't tolerate. And she, and Queen's had to deal with Shelly. So it was almost like she was dealing with two kids, and it was just too much for her, and especially her being pregnant, hormones out of control. I really think that she didn't know how to tell Dani. She probably didn't want the relationship, but that was bound to go down south anyways. They weren't compatible. They were fighting each other alongside with Dani fighting Michelle. And I think that because Dani's now locked up and they're saying allegedly she was on probation, so I would assume she violated her probation. She might have to do a couple of months, maybe a year in jail. That might buy Queen Opp some time to decide whether or not she's going to let Dani back into her life. And I wouldn't be surprised that if Dani did get out, that they would probably separate, like Dukiana and Queen Op separated. They was not together too long either because that was a toxic relationship. Um, I think that both Shelly and Queen Op made out, Dani being in jail, because now Shelly is relieved of the physical and mental abuse she had to go through with Dani. And if she goes back to Queen, which is really sad, I think she has adapted to being physically and mentally abused by her. But to have a double whammy, two people going at her, I think that it was just too much. I think it was a matter of time before Shelly probably lost all her faculties and try to fight back. And she could have ultimately been injured worse than what we saw. But things happen for a reason. Hopefully, I don't wish people to be in jail, but I think Dani needs to be there because she definitely did not get bonded out like Queen Op did. And I don't think that Queen Op right now is thinking about bonding anybody out, because right now, like they say in the state that she's living in, when things like what happened to her, like the cops coming kicking in her door, and she just got that apartment about 6 months ago. Um, I'm quite sure she's like on a 72-hour eviction notice, and she's probably more focused on getting somewhere stable to stay once again and getting up her bag. As I told you guys in a few videos today, that the first place she gravitated to was trying to, send a message on Twitter to sign up to her Only's fan, because we all know that that's the kind of job she was doing prior to social media. But it's even easier for her to do it virtually rather than, somebody having to physically touch you. She's doing it online, and she can make, a quick bag by doing so. And she can probably make ends meet if Shelly does not come back into the picture, because it could be uh, um, a situation where either Shelly's families are going to refuse Shelly from going back. I don't know how that's possible to physically stop an adult from leaving your site to go back to someone that's abusive. Or it could be stipulations where she can be around Shelly, but if she can't get on that camera because they're not supposed to be on social media, or there's stipulations that if they get on social media, she is not to have any signs of bruising, scratches, scrapes, or whatever from somebody physically handling her. Um, Queen Opp can potentially go back to jail. So I don't think that, none of them want to take the risk of dealing with this Shelly and Queen Opp duo, because they've made it hot for themselves. They got real messy with it. I mean, that's why Big O wanted to let them go, because it's the liability factor, and the responsibility that they're going to have to take if they try to act as though they don't see what's going on, when in fact people are reporting it on the platform. And if they was not to do something about it, that could jeopardize everything that they built on their platforms. So they rather let people like Queen and Shelly go, rather than keep them around. An investigation is done, and the wrong people get involved and shut things down. So we're gonna stay tuned. Hopefully, like we all praying, Shelly doesn't go back. Dani stays away, whether it's because Queen had time, even if it's a week, Dani not being around. Um, but Queen doesn't allow Dani to come back. I don't think she wants Dani anyways. I think she's kind of glad that this happened. I'm gonna say that again, that Dani is in fact locked up, because now she doesn't have to deal with her. She probably didn't know how to tell her in her face that this ain't working out. So it was easy for the police to take her out of the house, and no drama, what I'm saying, had to be even um going down, because the police did the duty for her. You know what I'm saying? So there was nothing for a Queen Opp to have to clean up. Everything was done for her. So we'll see how it plays out. If Dani's back, then I was wrong. But I just have this feeling that Queen Opp was at her wits' end with Dani. And especially being pregnant, I just felt as though she did not have any sort of control over Dani. And even if Queen gets a new place within the next 30 days, if Dani comes back in the picture, she's going to always be at risk of losing each apartment, because Dani does not have any sort of self control or home training.